r/AITA for exposing my divorce lawyer sister who used me for money. Hashtag chunk 1. The custody evaluation is in 3 weeks, and I'm sitting in a Starbucks parking lot at 6 a.m. watching my sister pull into the spot next to mine in her brand new Range Rover. 3 weeks. That's all the time I have left to prove to a court-appointed evaluator that I'm a stable, financially responsible parent deserving of equal custody of my kids. 3 weeks to show that I'm not the deadbeat my ex-husband's lawyer has been painting me as in every filing. 3 weeks that Sarah has known about, because I told her, and apparently, she's been doing absolutely nothing. Hey, babe. Sarah greets me with that radiant smile of hers as she slides into my passenger seat, already holding a venti something or other from inside. She's wearing designer sunglasses at sunrise. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Client breakfast ran over. I don't smile back. Sarah, I need to know exactly where we stand with my case. The evaluator was assigned last week, and I haven't seen a single new filing from you. Not one motion, not one document. Meanwhile, Mark's team has submitted 3 new responses, and they're all taking shots at my financial situation. She waves her hand dismissively, the diamonds on her engagement ring catching the weak morning light filtering through the windshield. You're spiraling. That's what people do before evaluations. It's totally normal. I'm not spiraling. I'm panicking. There's a difference. My fingers grip the steering wheel. I've given you $15,000 over the last 18 months, Sarah. $15,000. Money I don't have. Money I borrowed against my car. And I need to see that it's actually being spent on my case. This is the first time I've directly called her out, and I can see her expression shift. Just slightly. Just enough. Oh, come on. You know how legal fees work. You're not paying me to file documents every single day. You're paying me for strategy, for my expertise, for... I'm paying you to fight for my children. My voice doesn't sound like my own. It's harder. I'm paying you so that when I go in front of an evaluator, I can show that I took this seriously. That I did everything I could. That I have a lawyer, my sister, the divorce lawyer, helping me navigate this. Sarah removes her sunglasses and looks at me directly. For a moment, I think maybe we're about to have a real conversation. Maybe she'll tell me something I don't want to hear but need to know. Instead, she says, you're being ungrateful. You know that, right? Do you have any idea how many people would kill to have a family member in family law? How much you'd be paying an outside attorney for this level of service? And that's when something in me breaks. Because she's right. That is what I should be thinking. That is the grateful response. But I'm not grateful. I'm terrified. I'm drowning. And the person I thought was throwing me a life raft is apparently just watching me sink. What level of service, exactly? I ask quietly. Walk me through it. What? My case file. The actual work you've done. List it for me. She puts her sunglasses back on, a physical barrier, I realize now. She does this when she doesn't want to answer questions directly. I've seen her do it in family photos. I don't have time for this. I have a breakfast meeting in the city. Then cancel it. No. Sarah. No. I'm not going to sit here and justify my professional work to you like I'm some kind of associate billing hours. Either you trust me or you don't. She reaches for the door handle. And frankly, the fact that you're questioning me right now, after everything I've done for you, is really disappointing. She opens the car door. The morning air rushes in, cold, sharp, clarifying. How much of that $15,000 actually went to filing fees? I ask. How much went to your time? And don't tell me you'll send me an itemized statement later. Tell me now. Sarah pauses with one leg out of the car, and I see her jaw tighten. You're in a vulnerable state right now, she says, without looking back at me. We can talk about this after the evaluation. We both know there's nothing to talk about after the evaluation. Either I win custody, and I stop needing you, or I lose, and I can't afford you anymore. Which is it, Sarah? What happens then? She doesn't answer. She just closes the car door and walks away, her heels clicking against the parking lot asphalt with each step, until she disappears around the corner toward the Starbucks entrance. I sit there in the quiet, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I think about the promissory note I signed with my credit union. I think about my kids sleeping on a futon in my 2-bedroom apartment because I don't have enough money for a 3rd bedroom. I think about explaining to my 8-year-old son why he has to share a room with his sister when they're at my place. I think about every holiday I've missed overtime shifts at the hospital because Sarah promised they needed my testimony, and then she never used it. And I think about the voice memo app on my phone. It takes me 45 minutes to make a decision I'll spend the rest of my life questioning. I open my messages and text Sarah, *, I'm sorry for coming at you so hard. You're right, I'm spiraling. Can we grab coffee this week? Just the 2 of us. I need to talk to someone I trust, and you're the only person who actually understands what I'm dealing with, *. My thumbs hover over the send button. My heart hammers against my ribs. This is the moment. This is where I choose between the sister I've always known and the evidence I'm about to collect. I hit send. Hashtag chunk 2. Sarah responds within an hour, *, of course babe. Wednesday. Lunch at Marcello's. My treat, *. The irony is so thick I can barely swallow. Her treat. With money that might be mine. I spend the next 3 days in a state of dissociation that scares me more than anything else has so far. I go to work. I clock in at the hospital for a double shift on Tuesday. I pick up my kids on their scheduled days. I help Emma with math homework and take Marcus to soccer practice. I do all of it while feeling like I'm watching myself from outside my body, like I'm a character in someone else's story. My best friend Javier notices something's wrong when I zone out mid-conversation at the break room on Monday morning. Earth to you, he says, waving his hand in front of my face. Where did you go? Nowhere. Just tired. You're not tired. You're conspiring. He leans against the counter with his coffee. Javier's been my colleague for 4 years, and he knows me better than most people know themselves. What did you do? I haven't done anything yet. He sets his cup down and gives me that look, the one that says he knows I'm hiding something. Okay, so what are you planning to do? I shouldn't tell him. I know I shouldn't. But I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, and I need someone to either push me off or throw me a rope, and I can't figure out which one I actually want. If you knew someone was stealing from you, I say quietly, but they were also your family, and exposing them would destroy everything, what would you do? Javier's expression shifts from curious to serious in half a second. Who is it? I can't say. That's your sister, isn't it? The lawyer's sister you're always talking about. I don't confirm or deny it, which is the same as confirming it. Listen to me, Javier says, moving closer so no one else can hear us over the beeping monitors in the background. I grew up in a family where everyone protected everyone else. My uncle was stealing from the family business for 10 years, and nobody said anything because family loyalty was sacred. You know what happened? He stole enough to bankrupt it. My parents lost their retirement. My mother cried for months. And my uncle? He eventually got caught anyway, but by then, the damage was done to everyone. So you're saying I should expose her? I'm saying secrets are like infections. The longer you leave them untreated, the worse they get. He pauses. But I'm also saying that once you drain an infection, the wound is open. You can't close it back up and pretend it was never there. Wednesday arrives with the kind of weather that feels deliberately mocking, bright sun, mild temperature, the sky aggressively blue. I drive to Marcelo's in silence, my phone sitting face up in the cup holder. The voice memo app is open. Ready. Waiting like a loaded gun. Sarah is already at the restaurant when I arrive, seated at a corner table with a glass of white wine in front of her. She looks perfect, as always. Her hair is blow-dried. Her makeup is flawless. She's wearing a blazer that probably costs more than my weekly grocery budget. When she sees me, she stands up and pulls me into a hug, and I have to remind myself not to stiffen at her touch. I'm so glad we're doing this, she says, squeezing my shoulders. You looked really stressed on Saturday. I've been worried about you. The irony is so severe I can barely sit down without laughing. I've been stressed, I admit, taking the chair across from her. That's actually what I wanted to talk about. A waiter appears, and I order water. Sarah orders another wine. How are the kids, she asks, cutting into her salad immediately. She's always been a nervous eater, I realize. Or maybe not nervous. Maybe just used to fast-paced meals between depositions. They're good. Marcus made the soccer team he tried out for. Emma's reading at a 9th grade level and she's only in 3rd grade. They miss having 2 bedrooms at my place though. Sarah sets her fork down. About that. I've been thinking, maybe we could look into getting you a better apartment. I could. Sarah. I interrupt her gently. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Not like my sister. As my lawyer. She picks her fork back up, uses it to push salad around her plate without eating it. Okay, she says carefully. What? Are you actually working on my case? She looks up at me, and for a moment, I see something flicker across her face. Fear, maybe. Or recognition that this moment was always coming. Of course I am. Are you, though? Because I looked up the court filings last night. Actual court filings, online. I searched my case name. You know what I found? A motion you filed on my behalf in October. Nothing since then. It's been 5 months, Sarah. 5 months before an evaluation that will determine whether I get to have my children live with me half the time, and you haven't filed a single document. She sets her fork down with deliberate precision. Court filings aren't everything. I do strategic work behind the scenes. I've been communicating with Mark's lawyer, trying to negotiate terms that wouldn't require. Have you been communicating with Mark's lawyer, or have you been billing me time to not communicate? That's not fair. Is it not fair, or is it accurate? Sarah reaches for her wine glass and takes a long drink. When she sets it down, there's a small smear of lipstick on the rim. You want to know the truth, she says quietly. The truth is that cases like yours don't need constant filing. The truth is that your ex is going to be aggressive no matter what I do, and I can't fix that. The truth is that most of what you're paying me for is my presence, my credentials, my ability to intimidate opposing counsel just by being there. And that costs money. So you're not actually working. I'm working. I'm just not doing what you think you're paying me to do. The words land between us like something dropped from a great height. I realize my hands are shaking. I realize I need this to be recorded. I realize I've been sitting here with the voice memo running for 14 minutes, and Sarah just admitted, on tape, that she's been billing me for work she isn't doing. How much of the $15,000 went to actual legal work? I ask. I don't know. Maybe, 40%. So $6,000 went to legal work, and $9,000 went to what? To overhead. Staffing. Office space. The business of running a practice. With my money. Money you promised to use to fight for my kids. Sarah's eyes fill with tears, and I hate myself for a moment, hate that I'm causing her pain, hate that she's making me feel guilty for calling her out on lying to me. I needed that money, she says quietly. You have no idea what it's like to keep up appearances in this field. My clients judge me based on how I look, where I live, what I drive. I'm wearing a Rolex so they think I'm successful enough to win. I drive a Range Rover so they think I'm thriving. I have an engagement ring that costs more than your car because my clients need to believe I'm worth the retainer they're paying. By lying to me. By surviving, she whispers. And I realize, in that moment, that I don't recognize my sister anymore. That the person sitting across from me isn't the same girl who helped me study for my nursing exams. That somewhere along the way, she became someone else entirely. I'm going to need copies of your actual billing records, I say. Everything. Every hour, every charge, every entry. Are you suing me? I don't know yet, I say. I honestly don't know. #Chunk3. The drive home feels like it takes hours instead of 20 minutes. The voice memo is still on my phone, tucked into my pocket like a live grenade. 14 minutes and 37 seconds of my sister admitting to financial fraud. Of her explaining how she's been systematically draining money from someone she's supposed to love. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I feel sick. I pull into my driveway and sit in the car for 10 minutes without turning off the engine. The AC is blasting cold air, but I'm sweating. My phone buzzes. A text from my mom. Your sister says you two had lunch. Everything okay? Of course Sarah called her. Of course she's already spinning this. I turn off the car and go inside. The house is quiet. My parents picked up the kids after school for the evening, a regular Wednesday occurrence that I usually appreciate. Tonight, it feels like a mercy. I can't look at Marcus's soccer trophy or Emma's reading awards without thinking about how many months I wasted waiting for Sarah to actually file motions. How many conversations I missed because I was working extra shifts to pay her. How many bedtimes I wasn't there for because I was too exhausted from both jobs. I sit at my kitchen table and pull up my banking app. The transactions are all there, laid out in neat chronological order like receipts of my own stupidity. $3,500 to Sarah Chen, ESQ, retainer. $2,000 to Sarah Chen, ESQ, court prep. $1,500 to Sarah Chen, ESQ, deposition fees. $2,000 to Sarah Chen, ESQ, ongoing case management. $1,500 to Sarah Chen, ESQ, consultation fees. $1,200 to Sarah Chen, ESQ, filing fees. $15,000. Gone. And according to her own admission, only 6 of those 1,000 actually went to my defense. My phone rings. It's Javier. I consider not answering, then I pick up because I need to tell someone and he's already figured it out anyway. You did it, he says. Not a question. I recorded her. At lunch. There's a pause. Are you okay? No. I don't know. She admitted to it, Javier. Just admitted that she's been taking my money and not doing the work. She said she needed it for appearances. For her image. Jesus. He exhales slowly. What are you going to do with the recording? I don't know yet. That's the problem. I can go to the bar association. I can send it to her law firm partners. I can probably sue her myself. But if I do any of that, everything falls apart, he finishes. My mom called me. She already knows something happened. Sarah's playing the victim, I'm sure. By tomorrow, my entire family will be picking sides, and they'll pick hers because she's the successful one. The one with the fancy job and the engagement ring. Does she know you recorded her? Javier asks. I don't think so. I didn't show any reaction. Or at least, not much of one. Then you have time. Don't do anything tonight. Don't post anything online, don't send the recording to anyone. Sleep on it. I can't sleep on this. You have to, he says firmly. I've seen what happens when people make decisions based on anger. It never ends the way they think it will. We talk for another 20 minutes, but nothing he says makes me feel better. Eventually, I hang up and sit in the gathering darkness of my kitchen. I don't turn on the lights. I just sit there and listen to the recording again. Sarah's voice, so reasonable, so carefully composed until the end when she breaks down. I needed that money. By 11 o'clock, I've made a decision. I'm going to consult with another lawyer. Someone I don't know, someone without a dog in this fight. I need professional advice before I do anything that might blow up in my face. The irony of needing legal help to address my lawyer's sister's misconduct isn't lost on me. I spend Thursday making phone calls. I tell my work I'm taking a personal day, and I drive to a different part of the city to meet with a lawyer named Patricia Morrison. She's in her 60s, with reading glasses on a beaded chain and a no-nonsense demeanor that I find immediately comforting. Her office smells like old books and expensive coffee. I play her the recording. When it's done, she leans back in her chair and removes her glasses. That's very clear, she says. No ambiguity there. She's admitted to taking money for services not rendered. So I have a case. Legally. You have several cases, technically. You could sue her in civil court for breach of contract and unjust enrichment. You could file a complaint with the State Bar Association. You could report her to the district attorney's office if you wanted to explore potential criminal fraud charges, though that's probably overkill for a family matter. What would happen if I went to the Bar Association? I ask. They'd investigate. They'd likely find her guilty of professional misconduct. Depending on the severity and her prior record, she could face anything from a fine to suspension to permanent disbarment. Her career would essentially be over. The words hang in the air between us like a death sentence. And my family? Patricia sets her glasses down on her desk. That's not a legal question. But I'll tell you what I've seen in 40 years of practicing law. When you go after someone, especially someone close to you, they tend to fight back with everything they have. Your parents will probably feel forced to choose. Your other relationships will be collateral damage. The victory, if you get one, often feels hollow when you're standing alone. So I should just let her get away with it. Let her keep doing this to other clients. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that you should be very clear about what you're willing to sacrifice before you pull the trigger. And you should understand that this won't end quickly or cleanly. I drive home feeling worse than before. At least when I was just angry, I had direction. Now I'm angry and informed about all the terrible consequences. My phone buzzes as I'm pulling into my driveway. A message from my mom. Your father and I would like to have dinner with you this Sunday. We're concerned about whatever's going on between you and Sarah. Please come. I stare at the message for a long time before responding, I'll be there. Because I need to see them. I need to understand whether they'd stand by me or by her. And maybe, probably, I need to hear them say that they're proud of me, one more time, before I burn the whole thing down. #chunk4. Sunday dinner at my parents' house is the kind of thing I've done 1,000 times before, but today it feels like walking into a courtroom where I'm the defendant and the prosecution hasn't even shown up yet. My mom opens the door before I can knock. She looks tired in a way I've never noticed before, like she's aged 5 years in 5 days. She pulls me into a hug that lasts a beat too long, and I realize she's scared. Of what, exactly, I'm not sure yet. Come in, honey. Your father's in the living room. Sarah's not coming, she said she had a work emergency, but I think. My mom trails off, exchanging a look with me that says I know something is wrong. The dinner table is set with my mom's good china, the kind she usually reserves for holidays. There's a pot roast, roasted vegetables, fresh bread. She's made my favorite dessert, the apple pie with the lattice crust that takes her hours. It's the food equivalent of an apology before anything's even been said. My dad stands when I enter the living room, and he hugs me too. He smells like the cologne he's worn for 30 years, and it grounds me in a way I desperately need. We're worried about you, he says without preamble. That's my dad, direct, no preamble. Your mother says something's wrong between you and Sarah. Mom told you that? I ask, looking at her as we move to the dining room. Your sister called us, my mom says quietly, sitting down. She said you've been under a lot of stress, that you accused her of. She wasn't very clear, actually. She got emotional. You know how she gets. What exactly did she say? I ask, feeling my jaw tighten. My dad cuts into his roast. That you think she's been overcharging you. That you're upset about the legal fees. She said she understands you're going through a difficult time with the custody situation, but that she's done everything she can and you're blaming her for the judge's decisions. The reframing is so complete, so perfectly constructed, that for a moment I almost believe it myself. That's how good Sarah is at this. That's how she's gotten away with this for so long. That's not what happened, I say, keeping my voice level. I need to ask you both something, and I need you to answer honestly. Has Sarah ever mentioned money troubles to you? My parents exchange a glance. My mom sets down her fork. Well, my dad says carefully, she mentioned that the engagement ring was expensive, and she was saving for the wedding. That's normal for a young woman. Why? Has she ever asked you for money? No, my mom says. We offered to help with wedding planning, but she said she had it covered. She's always been very independent financially. I take a bite of roast that tastes like cardboard. The conversation I need to have is sitting in my chest like a stone. I'm going to tell you something, I say, and I need you to listen without interrupting. Can you do that? My dad nods slowly. My mom sets her fork down completely, her hands folding in her lap. I tell them everything. Not in an accusatory way, I can't afford to sound accusatory, or they'll close ranks around Sarah out of pure familial instinct. Instead, I lay out the facts like Patricia Morrison taught me to think about them. Timeline. Amounts. The work that was supposed to be done and wasn't. The conversations where Sarah admitted she wasn't actually working on my case. I leave out the recording for now. That's ammunition I'm not ready to deploy. When I finish, the silence at the table is absolute. My dad has stopped eating. My mom's face has gone very pale. She said all of this to you, my mom asks quietly. Yes. I have witnesses. I have documentation. How much money are we talking about, my dad asks. $15,000. My mother makes a small sound, almost like pain. My father's jaw clenches. Why didn't you tell us before, he asks, and I can hear the accusation underneath, the implication that I should have come to them, should have let them handle it, should have protected them from this knowledge. Because I didn't want to believe it, I say honestly. Because I kept thinking there was an explanation. Because she's your daughter and I'm your kid, and I knew that telling you this would put you in an impossible position. It does put us in an impossible position, my mom says, and her voice cracks slightly. Your sister is going to be devastated when she finds out you've told us. She's already devastated. I can't keep the edge out of my voice now. Mom, she stole from me. She looked me in the eye and took money that I was working myself to exhaustion to give her. I know, my mom says, and she sounds so sad that I almost wish I hadn't told them. Almost. But she's still our daughter. And you're saying things that would destroy her if they came out. There it is. The thing I've been dreading. The implicit message, don't do anything that would hurt your sister. Are you asking me not to report her? I ask carefully. My dad and mom exchange another look. This one is different. This one is a conversation happening without words, a negotiation in glances and small head movements. We're asking you to consider what you're asking of us, my dad says finally. If you report your sister to the Bar Association, the state will investigate. It will become public. It will destroy her career, her reputation, her engagement. People she works with will know. Judges will know. She'll never recover from that. She committed fraud, I say quietly. I know, my mom says, and tears are streaming down her face now. I know she did. And I'm furious with her. But she's also my daughter, and I can't lose her. I can't watch her life fall apart because of this. The sentence hangs there, unfinished but understood, because of you. So what are you saying? I ask, even though I already know. I need to hear them say it. We're saying, my dad begins carefully, that we would like to see this resolved quietly. Sarah could pay you back. We could help her pay you back. We could set up a payment plan, a formal agreement, something that makes this right without destroying her. And if she refuses? Then we'll have to ask you to reconsider your next steps, my mom says, and think very carefully about whether your sister's professional destruction is worth the satisfaction of justice. I look at my parents, at the people who raised me to believe in right and wrong, in consequences and responsibility, and I realize that those lessons were only meant to apply to me. For Sarah, there are different rules. There have always been different rules. I push my plate away. I need to think about this, I say. My mom reaches across the table and tries to take my hand. I let her, but I don't squeeze back. #chunk 5. The drive home takes 20 minutes, but it feels like hours. My hands are shaking on the steering wheel, and I have to pull over twice because my vision blurs. I'm not crying, I'm too angry to cry. It's a different kind of tears, the kind that come from betrayal layered on top of betrayal, like sedimentary rock pressing down on my chest. I sit in my car in the parking lot of my apartment complex for 40 minutes before I go inside. I need to be calm when I see the kids. I need to be the parent who has it together, not the one whose entire family just gaslit her into believing she should let a thief walk free. When I unlock the door, my neighbor Mrs. Chen is sitting on my couch with my 2 kids watching a movie. She's been babysitting while I was at my parents' house, and the normalcy of the scene, cartoons playing, a bowl of popcorn on the coffee table, my son's shoes kicked off by the door, feels obscene somehow. The world kept spinning like my foundation didn't just crack. How was dinner? Mrs. Chen asks, standing to collect her things. Fine, I lie automatically, grabbing my wallet to pay her. Thank you so much for watching them. After she leaves, I help the kids get ready for bed, going through the motions like an automaton. Teeth brushed, stories read, tucked in. My daughter asks me why I look sad, and I tell her I'm just tired. The lie tastes like copper. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I sit at my kitchen table with my laptop open and a document in front of me. It's the file where I've been organizing all my evidence, every receipt, every text message, every email. Every piece of proof that Sarah stole from me. I also pull up the recording. I haven't listened to it since I made it. I had intended to never listen to it again, actually. My plan had been to use it as insurance, but to let it stay silent. Now I play it, and Sarah's voice fills my quiet apartment. Asterisk, look, I know the case isn't moving as fast as we'd like, but these things take time. The judge is being difficult. I can push for a hearing, but there's no guarantee it'll help your case, asterisk. Her voice is so smooth, so practiced. She even sounds sympathetic. She sounds like someone who cares. Asterisk, I'm going to need another retainer, though. 3,000 should cover the next phase of discovery. Asterisk. There's a pause in the recording where I'm silent, where I'm processing the request, where my trust is still intact. Asterisk, Sarah, I'm already stretched so thin financially. Can't you work with what I paid you so far? Asterisk. And then her laugh. God, that laugh. It's not mean, it's worse. It's casual. It's the laugh of someone who knows they can take whatever they want. Asterisk, come on, you know I'm worth it. Besides, I've got my own expenses. This engagement isn't going to pay for itself. Do you know how much the venue costs? My fiancé's family is expecting something really nice. I can't exactly tell them no because my sister is having money troubles. Asterisk. I paused the recording there. My hand is shaking so hard I nearly dropped the laptop. She said that. She actually said that. My custody battle, my access to my children, was less important to her than impressing her fiancé's family at a wedding. My phone buzzes. It's a text from my mom, asterisk, please don't do anything until we talk to Sarah. Please, asterisk. I don't respond. Another text, this one from an unknown number, asterisk, hey, it's Patricia. Just checking in. How are you holding up, asterisk. I stare at that message for a long time. Patricia Morrison is the only person who knows the full extent of what Sarah did, besides my parents now. She's been a voice of calm reason throughout this whole nightmare. She's also someone who understands the legal system deeply enough to know what my options actually are, versus what my parents are pressuring me toward. I type back, asterisk, can we talk? Not about the case. About something else, asterisk. She responds within seconds, asterisk, coffee tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. at the cafe near your apartment, asterisk. I agree before I can second guess myself. I don't sleep, but at least the time passes. By 7:45 a.m., I've dropped the kids at school and I'm sitting in a booth at the cafe, nursing a black coffee I'm too anxious to actually drink. Patricia arrives exactly on time, which I'm learning is just who she is as a person. She orders a cappuccino and sits across from me without preamble. Your parents got to you, she says. It's not a question. They asked me not to report Sarah. They offered to have her pay me back quietly. Patricia nods slowly, processing. And how do you feel about that? I feel like I'm going insane, I say, and my voice cracks slightly. I feel like nobody in my family actually cares about what happened to me. They care about Sarah's career. They care about her reputation. They care about what this means for them. That's probably accurate, Patricia says gently. Family dynamics are complicated. People often choose to protect the status quo rather than pursue justice, especially when it means confronting uncomfortable truths about people they love. So what do I do? I ask. How do I make a choice that doesn't destroy everything? Patricia sets down her cappuccino carefully. I need to tell you something as a lawyer and as someone who cares about your well-being. Whatever you decide about reporting your sister, that choice has consequences. Not just for her, for you too. What do you mean? I mean that if you report her and your family finds out you recorded her without her consent, depending on your state's recording consent laws, that could become a legal issue itself. You could face backlash. Your sister's defense will absolutely try to use it against you in the custody case. My stomach drops. I hadn't thought about that angle. Additionally, Patricia continues, and I'm saying this as someone who respects you immensely, reporting her right now, while you're actively in a custody dispute, could be perceived as emotionally motivated. The timing looks bad. A judge might wonder if you're retaliating. So you're saying I should let her get away with it, I say flatly. I'm saying that sometimes the best revenge isn't reporting someone immediately. Sometimes it's being strategic about it. She leans forward. Finish your custody case. Win custody of your kids. Get yourself in a stable position. Then, if you still want to report her, you report her from a place of strength, not desperation. You're not doing it because you're angry. You're doing it because you have an obligation to protect future clients. I want to argue with her, but I see the logic. I hate that I see the logic. Your parents offered to have her pay you back. Patricia asks. I nod. Then here's what I think you should do. Hashtag chunk 6. Patricia leans back in her chair, her cappuccino steaming between us like a barrier. Take the money, she says simply. Have your parents facilitate the repayment. Get it in writing. Get it documented. But that's not justice, I say, even as I'm leaning toward the idea. That's just cleaning up her mess. It's not justice, Patricia agrees. But it's protection. It's documentation. It's leverage if you need it later. And most importantly, it's money that goes back into your life, back toward your kids, back toward winning your custody case without being dependent on a lawyer who's actively sabotaging you. I wrap my hands around my coffee cup, absorbing the warmth. My parents won't actually make her pay. They'll find a way to justify it, to minimize it. They'll convince themselves it wasn't that bad. Then you make them, Patricia says, and there's steel in her voice now. You tell them explicitly, you have two options. Either they facilitate Sarah repaying every dime she took from you, with documentation, or you move forward with reporting her to the Bar Association. Frame it as an ultimatum. That's manipulative, I say quietly. Yes, Patricia says without apology. It is. But you've been manipulated far worse by people you trusted more. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. We sit in silence for a moment. The cafe fills up around us, people ordering their morning coffee, the sound of the espresso machine hissing, the ambient noise of a world that's continuing on like nothing happened. Like my sister didn't steal from me. Like my parents didn't choose her over me. There's something else you need to know, Patricia says, and the shift in her tone makes my skin prickle. I've been doing some checking. Some discreet inquiries with colleagues who work in family law. Okay. I say slowly. Sarah's been doing this for a while. I'm not just talking about with you. I've heard whispers about other clients. Nothing I can prove, but patterns. Cases that dragged on longer than they should have. Retainers that seemed excessive. Clients who switched lawyers and suddenly their cases moved much faster. My chest tightens. So I'm not even the worst victim. Not even close, Patricia says quietly. Which means reporting her isn't just about you anymore. It's about protecting other people. Other single parents who can't afford to be bled dry. I think about that, about the countless people going through custody battles, already emotionally exhausted, already vulnerable. The thought that Sarah might be exploiting others the same way she exploited me makes my anger crystallize into something sharper, more focused. If I do this, I say carefully, if I go ahead with reporting her after the custody case is settled, will it actually stick? Will the Bar Association actually do anything? Patricia's expression becomes more guarded. That depends on several factors. The strength of your evidence. Whether other clients come forward. Whether there's a pattern that suggests intentional misconduct versus just incompetence. But here's the thing, you have the recording. Yes, there could be legal complications with it depending on your state, but it's still powerful. Combined with financial records, documentation of minimal work on your case, and if other clients corroborate similar experiences. It's compelling. But I have to wait, I say, understanding the full weight of what she's suggesting. I have to wait until after the custody case is resolved. You have to be strategic, Patricia corrects. Patience is sometimes the most powerful weapon. I nod slowly, rolling this over in my mind. It feels wrong to wait, to let Sarah walk around thinking she got away with it. But Patricia's logic is sound. If I report her now, while I'm still in the custody battle, I hand her and my parents exactly what they need to paint me as the villain. The angry sibling trying to destroy her sister's career out of spite. The unstable parent whose judgment is questionable. But if I wait, if I finish the custody case first, establish myself in a position of stability and strength, then reporting becomes less about my emotional response and more about protecting others. It becomes about ethics and professional responsibility instead of revenge. How long until your custody case is likely resolved? Patricia asks. My lawyer, my actual lawyer, not Sarah, says maybe 4 to 6 months. Possibly longer if the ex pushes back, which he will. Patricia nods. Then that's your timeline. 4 to 6 months, you let this simmer. You document everything that Sarah has already done, you preserve that recording, you organize your evidence. And you start quietly asking questions, through me, if you want, about other potential victims. That's going to be hard, I say, and I can hear the despair creeping into my voice. Seeing Sarah at family things. Watching her plan her wedding. Listening to my parents brag about her while she's stolen from me and potentially stolen from others. Yes, Patricia says. It will be hard. But you're already doing the hard part. You're raising 2 children alone while fighting for custody. You're working to keep a roof over your head while your family turn their backs on you. This is just one more hard thing, and you've already proven you can handle hard things. My phone buzzes. It's a reminder that I need to pick up the kids from school in 2 hours. The normal world is intruding on this moment of conspiracy, this moment where Patricia and I are quietly planning how to dismantle my sister's career without it immediately destroying everything I've built. I need to think about this, I say. I need to talk to Patricia, my custody lawyer. Get her advice on the legal implications. Patricia says. She should know about the recording situation anyway. Attorney-client privilege will protect the conversation, and she needs to know what she's working with. As I'm gathering my things to leave, Patricia reaches across the table and touches my wrist gently. For what it's worth, I think you're going to make the right choice. Not the easy choice. The right one. I want to believe her. I want to believe that waiting, being patient, being strategic is going to make this better. But as I drive toward the school to pick up my kids, all I can think about is the recording sitting on my laptop. Sarah's voice, casual and cruel. Her laugh. The reminder that the person I trusted most in my family decided my well-being was worth less than her engagement party. 4 to 6 months, I tell myself. I can wait that long. I tell myself I can wait. #Chunk7. The next 2 weeks are a study in controlled performance. I see Sarah at a family dinner my parents insist on hosting, and I smile. I ask her about the wedding planning. I compliment her engagement ring, a 3-carat diamond that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She beams at me, completely oblivious to the fact that I know exactly what she's done, and I feel something brittle inside my chest. My custody lawyer, Patricia Chen, a different Patricia than my friend, which initially confused me until I realized how common the name is, takes the recording news better than I expected. She doesn't flinch. She listens to it, takes notes, and then tells me that while the legality is murky depending on interpretation of our state's wiretapping laws, it's still valuable as evidence of intent. The Bar Association will care about this, she says, making a copy for her secure files. Even if it couldn't be used in a criminal case, it demonstrates consciousness of guilt. That matters. The custody case itself starts moving faster once we switch lawyers. My ex's attorney seems caught off guard by Patricia's competence and efficiency. Depositions that Sarah had postponed indefinitely suddenly happen. Discovery requests that had been languishing get answered. Within 3 weeks, we're already closer to resolution than we were in the previous 6 months. It's validating and infuriating in equal measure. My parents call me on a Thursday night. My mother's voice is tight with something I can't quite identify. Your father and I want to discuss the repayment arrangement, she says without preamble. With Sarah. I'm standing in my kitchen, and I grip the counter. Okay. What did she say? She's willing to pay you back, my mother continues, but she's saying it should come from her wedding fund. She's suggesting she could pay you half now, half after the wedding. It's going to set back the wedding planning by several months. I close my eyes. Of course that's what Sarah suggested. Not a direct payment plan. Not acknowledgement of wrongdoing. But a calculated financial sacrifice that keeps her in the role of the generous sister making a concession, while I'm the unreasonable sibling demanding compensation. No, I say flatly. That doesn't work. Sweetheart, be reasonable, my mother says, and I can hear the pleading in her voice. She's trying to make this right. She's trying to make this convenient for her, I correct. I need the money now, Mom. I'm paying for a custody battle. I'm behind on bills. This isn't negotiable. There's a long silence. Then my mother says something that makes my blood run cold. Sarah mentioned that you might be acting out of spite. That you've been emotionally unstable lately. She's concerned about you. I actually laugh. A sharp, bitter sound that echoes in my empty kitchen. She told you that? She literally stole from me, Mom. She admitted it to you. And she's painting me as unstable. She didn't use that word. She just said she's worried about your frame of mind. Given everything you've been through with the custody battle and... well, your history. My history. My divorce. My struggles. Everything I've confided in my family about my mental health, my therapy, my efforts to be better, suddenly it's being weaponized against me. Put Dad on, I say quietly. My father gets on the phone, and his voice is grave. Your mother's right, kiddo. We want to help, but Sarah's concerned that... Dad, stop. Just stop. I'm not having this conversation where you let her reframe this. She stole from me. She admitted it. She's now trying to make me look crazy for holding her accountable. I'm not unstable. I'm angry, which is appropriate. I know you're angry, my father says gently, and God, that gentleness is somehow worse than anger. But family is complicated. Your sister made mistakes, yes, but she's still your sister. She still loves you. I want to scream. I want to ask him how stealing from your sibling is love. But I remember Patricia's advice about being strategic. I remember that I need to wait. That going nuclear on my parents right now, while I'm still fighting for custody, gives my ex ammunition. So instead I say, I need the full repayment amount within 30 days. In writing. With a repayment plan. If that doesn't happen, I'm moving forward with the Bar Association complaint. Those are your 2 options, Dad. And you need to communicate that clearly to Sarah. That sounds like an ultimatum, my father says softly. It is, I confirm. After we hang up, I sit in my kitchen for a long time. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. I almost delete it, but something makes me open it. Asterisk hi, this is Rebecca Martinez. I got your number from a mutual friend in the legal community. I heard through the grapevine that you might have had a negative experience with Sarah Hoffman. I did too. If you're interested in talking, I'd like to hear your story. I think there might be others, asterisk. I read it 3 times, my heart pounding. Rebecca Martinez. I remember the name from Patricia's whispered inquiries. One of the potential victims. One of the other people Sarah bled dry. I text back, how did you get my number? Asterisk Patricia sent it to me. She said you were planning to report Sarah to the bar eventually, and she thought we should connect, asterisk. I don't know whether to feel grateful or violated that Patricia is already laying groundwork, already connecting the dots, already building the case against my sister before I've even fully committed to it. But then I think about what Rebecca might have experienced. I think about my children, about the 6 months I've lost with them because of Sarah's deliberate negligence. I think about the money I could have used for their therapy, their needs, their stability. I'd like to talk, I text back. Asterisk but not until after my custody case is resolved. About 4 to 5 months from now. Can you wait that long, asterisk? The response comes quickly, asterisk I've been waiting this long. I can wait longer, asterisk. That night, I lie in bed unable to sleep, thinking about the recording on my laptop. Thinking about 4 more months of family dinners where I pretend everything is fine. Thinking about what happens in 5 months when I finally push the button that destroys my relationship with my family. My phone buzzes again. A text from my mother, asterisk your father talked to Sarah. She says she'll pay you the full amount within 3 weeks. She wants to make this right, asterisk. And just like that, my parents have caved. Sarah has agreed to something, probably because she knows the alternative is worse for her. She's going to write me a check, and my parents are going to act like this is resolution. Like we can all move past this. But I won't forget. And in 4 months, when I'm standing in a stronger position, when my custody case is won and my children are safe and my life is stable again, I'm going to remember every moment of this. Every lie, every betrayal, every time my family chose convenience over truth. And then I'm going to burn it all down. Hashtag Chunk 8. The custody hearing happens on a Tuesday in March, exactly 4 months and 17 days after I sent that first recording to Patricia Chin. I'm dressed in a navy suit that cost me more than I wanted to spend, but Patricia insisted on looking incredibly stable and financially responsible. My ex sits across the courtroom, his new girlfriend watching from the gallery with barely concealed glee. My children are in a waiting room with a court-appointed psychologist, mercifully shielded from this circus. The judge is a woman in her 60s named Honorable Margaret Chin, no relation to my lawyer, though Patricia joked about the coincidence. She has kind eyes, but they're sharp. She's already reviewed the discovery documents, and I can see from her expression that she's unimpressed with my ex's attempt to paint me as unreliable. Patricia stands up and presents our case with surgical precision. She walks through my employment history, my housing situation, my therapy records, which show successful treatment and stable mental health, and my unwavering commitment to our children's well-being. She presents the text messages from my ex acknowledging he's been deliberately obstructive. She presents the school records showing my children's grades improved during the months they spent with me. Then she presents the financial records. All of them. Every payment I made to Sarah, every receipt, every desperate email asking when the case would move forward. She has documentation of discovery requests Sarah never filed. Depositions she scheduled and then canceled without notice. Every delay, every excuse, every unnecessary court appearance that added to my legal bills. My ex's attorney tries to object, tries to argue relevance, but the judge overrules him. The plaintiff's financial capacity to defend herself in this proceeding is absolutely relevant, she says coolly. I watch my ex's face as he realizes that Patricia isn't just defending me, she's dismantling his strategy. Without a prolonged legal battle to hide behind, his custody claims crumble under scrutiny. The psychologist's report, when presented, indicates that the children are healthier and happier with consistent parental figures and minimal conflict. My stability and reliability are documented. His allegations of negligence and poor judgment are contradicted by 3 years of school reports, doctor's notes, and teacher recommendations. By the time Patricia sits down, something has shifted in the room. I can feel it. The judge takes 2 hours to deliberate. Patricia and I wait in a conference room, and she squeezes my shoulder. You got this, she says. I could see it in Chen's face. She was disgusted by how this case was handled. When we return, the judge announces her decision from the bench. Primary custody to me. My ex gets supervised visitation until he completes a parenting class and a mental health evaluation. I'm awarded attorney's fees, a significant amount that will help recover what Sarah cost me. The judge actually says, this case should never have taken this long. The delays and obstructionist tactics are an embarrassment to the legal profession. I cry. I can't help it. Patricia puts an arm around me as we leave the courtroom, and I finally let myself believe that my children are going to be okay. That weekend, I pick them up for the first time as their primary custodian. My daughter hugs me so hard I can barely breathe. My son, older and more guarded, still smiles in that way that means he's relieved. We go out for ice cream, and I don't think about Sarah even once. On Monday, I meet with Patricia to discuss next steps. You don't have to do this, she says, and I appreciate that she means it. You got what you needed. You've won. You could walk away and move on with your life. But I think about Rebecca Martinez. I think about the other victims Patricia has quietly identified. I think about Sarah, still practicing law, still taking clients, probably already scamming someone else. File the complaint, I say. Patricia nods and opens her laptop. She walks me through what's going to happen. The Bar Association will investigate. They'll subpoena records, interview clients, review billing practices. The recording will be admissible as evidence of intent, even if it couldn't be used in criminal court. Patricia has already connected with Rebecca and 2 other former clients, all of them willing to testify. It's going to be ugly, Patricia says. For everyone. I know, I say. I call my parents that evening. I make sure my father answers on the extension so they can both hear me. I'm filing a complaint with the State Bar Association regarding Sarah's legal practices, I say without preamble. I wanted you to hear it from me first. There's silence. Then my mother says, why would you do that? She paid you back. You said this was resolved. It's not resolved, I say calmly. Sarah stole from me and from others. She prolonged my custody case deliberately to extract more money. My children suffered because of her actions. She admitted all of this on a recorded conversation. That's not resolved, that's just me choosing not to prosecute her criminally. But I'm not going to let her continue practicing law and hurting other people. My father's voice is pained. Sweetheart, do you understand what this will do to her? To our family? Yes, I say. I understand completely. I'm choosing to do this anyway. Because it's the right thing to do. And I'm telling you now because I wanted you to know this came from me, not from a legal proceeding. You deserve that honesty. After I hang up, I feel lighter than I have in months. The Bar Association investigation takes 6 weeks. Rebecca and the other clients testify. The financial records speak for themselves. Sarah's billing practices are indefensible, bloated hours, duplicative work, deliberately prolonged timelines. The Bar Association's decision comes in a letter addressed to me. Asterisk the respondent, Sarah Hoffman, has been found to have engaged in conduct prejudicial to the administration of justice, specifically billing fraud and client abandonment. Her law license is hereby suspended for 18 months, pending completion of remedial education and ethics training. She is prohibited from practicing law during this period, asterisk. It's not a permanent disbarment. It's not the nuclear destruction I once fantasized about. But it's justice, of a sort. It's accountability. My parents don't call me for a month. Then my father reaches out. We have a careful conversation where he doesn't apologize but also doesn't defend Sarah. He tells me they're in family counseling. He tells me my mother is struggling but trying. We're proud of you, he says quietly at the end. We needed time. I accept that. It's not everything, but it's something. 6 months later, my children have settled fully into our home. My daughter's anxiety has improved with consistent stability. My son is doing better in school. I've started dating again, nothing serious, just the idea that my life can include things beyond survival. I run into Sarah at the grocery store one afternoon. She's alone, uncharacteristically makeup-free, looking hollowed out in a way I've never seen. We stand in the produce section, holding avocados, and neither of us speaks. Finally, she says, "I hate you for what you did." "I know," I say. "But it was necessary." And that's all we say. We move on in opposite directions. As I drive home, my children chatting happily in the back seat, I think about revenge and justice and the space between them. I think about the cost of truth and the price of survival. I think about my children, safe and loved and mine. And I finally, truly, let the anger go.